Hello friends, Sam and Graham doing TCGs yet again. I figured it had been a long time, really, since I'd done some Flesh and Blood. So I'd crack into some of my rainy day boxes to dig into some of that. What better right now than Everfest First Edition? I'm not going to do this whole case today. I'm going to go 2 boxes, probably do another 2 boxes for the next video. But I hadn't done Flesh and Blood, like I say, in a while. And I hadn't done Flesh and Blood in the new year yet. Granted, it's been like a week, but whatever. That's beside the point, isn't it? I figured with it being that short time, or blah, I'm done. Just ignore me at this point. Enjoy the cards, ignore me. Flesh and Blood is pretty much, as far as gameplay wise, it's still just my favorite game. It's hard to say anything else is. Trying to say anything else is would just be ultimately completely dishonest. As far as playing the game, and really as far as like the art of the game and stuff too, this is my current favorite game. 1 pack stayed in the box, so we will start with that one. Or should it be the last? I'm already ripping it, so it's gonna be the first one. Sorry. Doing Everfest. Alright. Haze Bending. That's a decent rare foil right off the bat. Potion and Tabone. But yeah, I haven't opened it in a while. There's been a whole lot of conversation going on with the Rudy stuff going on too. Oh, Fractal Replication. I like that card quite a lot. Happy to see that one for sure. With the potential fallout of that. I don't know. I've told some people this when they shared their opinions on it. You know what? I'm having that glare issue, so I'm going to reach right on over here and hit that light. Y'all get to see less of me and more of the cards, which I feel like is probably win-win for everybody involved. So that should work. I know a lot of people have taken microprocessor. Okay, some pretty strong frustration, some pretty strong disagreement with what Rudy said in his deleted video, and I feel like some of that was kind of a measured attempt to get responses and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm torn. I've talked before on here that I've been... There's our first cold foil. That is Talisman of Warfare. I've been a little frustrated at different times, being completely honest, with how certain content creators or stores were dealt with in situations like this. And I'm kind of there with Rudy too. I don't know. It's tough to really dive into it, and I'm not as close to Rudy as I was to the other people being discussed either, which kind of makes it interesting too. Rain Razors, there's another Majestic. So I don't know. I don't completely love that handling, which makes it really hard because this is actually my favorite. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm ever in a spot where it's like, I'm out, I'm gone. That was a Sprigg Tidings Majestic foil, by the way. I'm out, I'm running away. That's not it at all. So don't hear me say that. Tri-Shot, and there's another Majestic. I'm not saying anything like that at all. It is just a little bit weird. It gives me a little bit of a feeling in general. About everything involved, but I'm still here right now, and I plan to be. Like that's again what that probably sounded a little too... I'm not planning on it. Like I say, favorite game to play. It's not the only game that I play or collect. As anybody who's put any time watching the channel knows, I'm into all kinds of different stuff. And that won't change either. That's just the way my general interests go. That's not a slight towards Fab or any of the other games, frankly. It's just a, hey, what's piquing my interest right this second? What have I opened or not opened in a while? What just hits that nostalgia bone for me right this second? All those different things. That's kind of the ultimate question here. Haven't heard of Majestic in a while. So, like, all that stuff is ultimately what I'm getting at. Oh, cool. We got one of the extended art foils, a rare one, which is unfortunately, I think, not one that I need. That's still a cool hit. So yeah, just a lot of moving parts going on. I'm a little concerned. I know some people have really tried to downplay the Rudy influence effect. And I wouldn't say it's doom and gloom by any stretch. I don't think it's like, nope, Rudy gone, game dead, Rolling Thunder, another Majestic. Like, that's definitely not where I'm at with it at all. But I also think that Rudy having a reduced presence, fire breathing, and a passing mirage, very nice, is definitely, it's gonna have an impact, at least in the short term, and it's not gonna be a good one. That's my take on it. I don't think it'll tank the game. I don't think it'll ruin the game. I don't think anything like that. Hey, double blue slice and dice. But I do think it'll have a bigger impact that some people are trying to say. Now, the flip side is, at least the original plan, a second cold foil, Talisman of Tithes. All right. Oh, and a Majestic right behind. Very nice. Prefer a better second cold foil, but if you're gonna get two cold foils, you're never mad at that. Yeah, I don't know. I would be lying. I guess what the short version is, I would be lying if I said I thought there would be no impact whatsoever. But I also don't think it is the gloom and doom, everything is dead impact that some people think. That is the first box. So yeah, I mean, that's right this second. That's about all I have to say on this whole thing. Like, I 100% get what both sides are saying. I have always been into collectible card games, trading card games, all that jazz for collectability. Like, there's definitely, especially for new players, there's the argument about, well, the price of getting into the game is too high, but also, I legitimately think it's true that it's going to be hard to get people into the game if there's no value chase. There's no... And to be fair, some of that's just the pretty card, the fancy card, the legendaries, the fableds that are just awesome looking. Let's be real. The fableds and legendaries look great. There is a certain amount of chase just for those items. There's a regular arcane lantern and a scour. Like, some of the things just look great. There's no question there. That's 100% true, factual. And that's a big part of it. But a big part of it is looking at it and seeing, that cool looking, the good card paying out in dollars and cents. Is that everything? Absolutely not. But it is, I would say, notably easier, notably better getting new people into the game when there's a second high striker, a red one this time in the extended art. It's easier to get people interested when there is that dollars aspect to it as well. Do we want to hype that up as the only interest? No, probably not. That's gonna kill a game. Talisman of Tithes again in the cold foil. That'll kill a game too. I mean, let's be real. If the dollars and cents are all there is to it, but the game stinks, it's not gonna survive. I try not to speak ill of games I don't like, because if you like it, good for you. I'm not rooting against your enjoyment of something. Oh, sweet. All right. So we got a foil Majestic in Rain Razors and a Signal Jammer Majestic. MetaZoo is a great example of this. I see MetaZoo falling apart because it had dollars and cents. It had cards that were pretty and blinged out, and people were excited, and that is a really beat up card. That is not good. And got people excited because of it looked cool, it had financial value, but with a very, very few exceptions, nobody seemed to really just live and die by and love that game, playing MetaZoo. And the more and more that became apparent, I feel like the more MetaZoo has kind of just fallen Kraken's Ether Vein. So that's a good example. You cannot just have value and a crappy game. That was unkind of me, and I apologize. A weaker game, a game that doesn't just pull people in. Frankly, now, I could see the argument for Lorcana going the same direction. The difference there is just the utter nostalgia of having Disney stuff. So that, I could see the argument that Lorcana is going the same direction. Granted. It's just tricky. Like, there's a lot to that. I just don't always know. But that is where it shimmers of silver for a Majestic. There's always questions, moving parts, things going on. It's just tricky. Ooh, a foil Passing Mirage. That's nice. There's a balance to be found, I think, is ultimately the answer. And a lot of people stray too hard one direction or the other. Frankly, I think Fab 2.0, I think that they could make maybe like the cold foil Fableds and stuff, Fableds and Legendaries. I think those being a little bit rarer would not be a bad thing. But I do think that Fab 2.0 has done a really, really good job all around of balancing that better than Fab 1.0 with the first edition and Unlimited being the two separate releases, all that stuff. Nerves of Steel. It's just nice having the two different versions. The rainbow foil and cold foil version of a legendary or fabled available in the same box, I think is a neat concept, and was a move. Bingo! Was a move in the right direction. I think ultimately the idea is right. There's still some balancing that can be done, but I think that has been a step in the right direction. Not everybody seems to agree with me. Box prices are still low, which is another thing that makes the Rudy thing weird to me, but whatever. This is the last pack, and I might talk for another minute or so after this pack, so we'll see. A second cold foil. That's really funny. Another, and a Mask of Pouncing Lynx again. So the second cold foil in both boxes came with a Mask of Pouncing Lynx. That's pretty funny. What was the first? Now that's wild. 2 boxes, same 2 cold foils in each box. That's fascinating. Anyway, Fab 2.0, like I feel like that's a step in the right direction, balancing it. You could probably put a little bit more distance between the rarity, the pull rates, and thus the value. Make the cold foils a little bit harder to find. Maybe even make the rainbow foils a little easier to find to offset that. I definitely think that's a thing that could be done. That would not be a bad idea. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a step in the right direction. You're not having to worry about 2 products. If you're like, I'm the kind of collector, if there's, Flesh and Blood, if there's Welcome to Wraith, if you've got first edition and unlimited, the way I like to collect is I want at least one of each of them. So then you get like History Pack, the white border. I want one of each of those too, even though I've already got them from the other sets. Like, that's just the way I like to collect. And that's one of the things that makes the trading card game, the collectible card game, that's still alive regardless of what you do. Some people only want to play, I'm going to play Warrior or Warrior and Wizard or whatever. And so I'm just going to collect play sets of Warrior and Wizard and only up to Majestic. Not going to worry about Legend. However you want to collect it. Like, that makes sense to me. Like, there's a lot of different ways to look at that you can collect it different ways. But I feel like it is nice to have that somewhat easier in Fab 2.0. That's definitely something that as that has gone, a full year now, as we're entering 2024. Good grief. Wow, that hurt to say. That it just has moved well. I think that has made collecting your set easier. You're not having to worry about unlimited and first edition. It's kind of amped up. The Marvels have been a nice touch with a couple of misses. But overall, it's a great concept. But I feel like it's gone the right direction. And I look forward to seeing what comes next. I'm psyched about heavy hitters. It may not have a new Dorinthia, which makes me a little sad, but it does have new warriors and potentially a lot of warrior stuff that could make Dorinthia really nasty. Looking forward to seeing that. I am one of those players that has not yet taken the advice of actively playing multiple heroes. I've played multiple heroes here and there, but the only one I go back to is Dorinthia. I've played some Dromai, I've played some Azalea, I've kind of talked about some of that. Played some, really liked Max Nitro in Bright Light's draft. Like, there are things that I've played, but I need to branch out a little bit more. I say that, I just don't know if I will make myself do it until I have to. But I try and stay up on what things are doing. Like, playing on Talishar or something like that, if I'm not able to make it to the LGS, I try and play against as big a variety of opponents as I can. And I specifically try and play against the ones that I know have a tendency to kick my butt. I try and, keep that variability so I know what all is out there, both for when I'm talking on these videos, but also just, playing the game in general. When I sit down with somebody at the store, I might have to ask them a few questions, but to try not to ask them what every single card, that kind of thing. Like, I don't find it annoying if somebody else does that per se, but I feel like I'm being annoying if I do it. So maybe that's weird and backwards, but I don't want to. I want to be able to just sit down and play against the opponent. Anyway, I know that I've been a little bit long-winded today, but there was kind of a lot going on in the last couple of weeks. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that and just talk a little bit about how Fab 2.0, I think, is doing a pretty solid job. And I look forward to heavy hitters and everything else coming up next. I've got a treat that I just ordered from Border Than Games. Hit up borderthangames.com. Use code GrahamTCG at checkout. 5% off your first order. Don't forget that. The link's always down there. Sometimes I forget to say it in the video. That's my fault. But Do that thing. In any case, I'm going to keep what it is a surprise, but I think it'll be fun once it comes. A little bit, not completely out of, it's flesh and blood, I'll tell you that. So it's not completely out of the norm, but it's definitely a little interesting, a little something special, and I'll be crossing my fingers for something very specific. We shall see how it goes. Woohoo! But I'm looking forward to that. It'll be fun. In any case, Happy New Year. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time. I know I've rambled a little bit today. I try not to take your time for granted. I hope that what I've said has actually been, if not helpful, at least interesting to get some of my viewpoint or maybe another viewpoint on some of the stuff going on, and just Fab 2.0 in general. Everfest, Fab 1.0, still kind of love it though. What do you do? Anyway, have a great rest of your day. Bye, y'all.